Hi friends, welcome to SNCA Study Club, a platform for CA final students. So here I am first of all taking a simple standard which is essay 500 audit evidence. We know that essay 500 audit evidence, I will maximum try a memory technique to remember all essay. It means few people may face difficulty to remember essay 200 basic principle, essay 210 agreeing to the terms of audit engagement, essay 230 audit documentation, essay 240 fraud, essay 250 compliance with law and regulation. So we have to use some memory techniques. Actually I am not using a memory technique to memorize these essays, but if you want I will surely upload a video separately to remember the essays. So here I have completed company audits, peer review and professional ethics. In between I am taking one or more essays. First of all I am taking a simple essay which will be very easy to you and which will be easy to understand each concepts. So this essay does not need that much of explanation. We have studied very well this essay in our IPCC. Okay, so I am moving towards essay 500. This is a fast lecture. We have to complete within a period of 30 minutes or 25 minutes this essay 500. Essay 500 audit evidence. What is the meaning of audit? Audit refers to an independent examination of financial statements of an entity, whether profit-oriented or non-profit-oriented, irrespective of size or legal form, when such examination is conducted to express an opinion. We know, we have studied this. What is the meaning of audit? Audit refers to an independent examination of financial statement of an entity, irrespective of whether profit-oriented or not, irrespective of the legal size, legal form, nature, where such examination is conducted to express an opinion. So the main function of an auditor is to make what? An opinion on the financial statement. To make an opinion, we have to arrive at a conclusion. How can auditor arrive at a conclusion without obtaining some information? So the information which has been collected by the auditor to arrive at a conclusion on the basis of which the opinion is based, that is known as what? Audit evidence. So audit evidence refers to the information used by the auditor to arrive at a conclusion on the basis of which the opinion is based. This is what audit evidence. I hope you have clearly understand the meaning of audit evidence, which is stating that audit evidence refers to the information used by the auditor for arrive at a conclusion on the basis of which opinion is based. This is a simple technique to understand the whole meaning of audit evidence. So audit evidence include accounting record and other information. Accounting records, these records are maintaining or these records are preparing to record the accounting entries, accounting information. Okay, but other information means which may or may not relate to the accounting, but it also provide information with respect of what? Accounting. Other information is preparing for the purpose of recording other aspects other than accounting, but these can be used by the auditor to determine the accuracy of accounting record. Example: articles of association, memorandum of association, bond, agreement, then legal contracts. So these are the other information or supplementary accounts or supplementary books that facilitate to determine the accuracy of what? Accounting records. Now we understand what is the meaning of audit evidence. Audit evidence means the information used by the auditor to arrive at a conclusion on which the opinion is based. So can we treat any information as what? Audit evidence? No. Audit evidence have to some features. Audit evidence, that is, if an auditor have to arrive at a conclusion, there should be an audit evidence which is sufficient, appropriate, relevant, reliable. SAR. Audit evidence means SAR. So auditor have to obtain an audit evidence which is sufficient. Sufficient means the quantity of audit evidence. Suppose auditor requires, this is a complicated audit engagement, auditor require this much of what? Or an audit engagement where risk is very high. Auditor require this much of audit evidence, but in actual by applying this audit procedure, auditor only obtain this much of audit evidence. So can we state that this audit evidence is sufficient? The information or audit evidence obtained by the auditor is sufficient? No. In this case, the information which has been obtained by the auditor is not sufficient. So as to determine the sufficiency and appropriateness, auditor have to apply his professional judgment. Did you get what I have explained here? It means that sufficiency, S means sufficiency. It means the quantity of audit evidence, quantity. Appropriateness means the appropriateness. It means quality. By analyzing some food, by analyzing some dress materials, we can say that this is more quality than this. But by analyzing the audit evidence, how can auditor determine whether the audit evidence is whether this audit evidence have the quality that he required? So in that case, he have to apply the professional judgment. He have to determine whether this audit evidence is reliable and relevant. If it is reliable and relevant, we can say that what this audit evidence have the quality that is required by the auditor, or this evidence have the quality to arrive at a conclusion that facilitate the auditor to arrive at a conclusion. So the audit evidence have to be sufficient and appropriate. Sufficient means the quantity of audit evidence, appropriate means the quality of audit evidence. Quality means reliability and relevance. So auditor have to use his own professional judgment to determine whether it is sufficient and as well as appropriate. So as per your opinion, what are the factors that is to be considered by the auditor to determine the sufficiency and appropriateness? I have here explained that. Previous experience. Suppose auditor having previous experience with an entity, he is obtaining audit evidence. So in that case, whether he required to apply more audit procedure or less audit procedure, I am only talking with respect to the previous experience. If he is having previous experience, he may know something about that organization or that entity. So in that case, he is not required to apply that much of audit procedure so as to obtain the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That is, there will be excess what quality and quantity of audit evidence if he is having previous experience, because on the basis of that previous experience, he will apply the audit procedures. On the basis of that audit procedure, he will get the audit evidence which has been previously obtained. Okay. That is, on the basis of that experience, he have to apply the audit procedure. If he obtains sufficient appropriate audit evidence from the previous experience, and if he is using the same audit procedure, he will also obtain what? Sufficient and appropriate audit procedure in this year. Then, result of work. Suppose auditor has applied some audit procedure and he has obtained some information or evidence. In that information, in that information there exists fraud, some misappropriation, some mistakes. So if this is what the result of audit procedure. So can we say that any information which has been obtained from that organization will be true or that will be correct? No. In that case, it is state or it is giving a picture that information which has been obtained by the auditor is not what? Sufficient and appropriate. He have to apply more audit procedures so as to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That is, if the result of work include fraud or what? Errors, more mistakes, misappropriations or what? Material misstatements, etc. In that case, he have to apply more audit procedure. Then he have to obtain more quality of audit evidence, more quantity of audit evidence. Then risk of material misstatement, I have already explained. If risk of material misstatement is high, he have to apply more audit procedure and have to obtain more quality and quantity of audit procedure. If risk of material misstatement is low, we can assume that the information that has been already obtained by the auditor is what? Sufficient and appropriate. It is implying that, or it is telling that auditor is not required to apply that much of audit procedure because the risk of material misstatement is low. Not setting. Okay. Actually, I will make some silly mistake. It is not that much of silly mistake. I am apologizing to the all English medium students who is hearing or listening with my classes. Actually, I am taking classes in English because I have seen many comments in this YouTube lectures that the people require some classes in English because some students will not be able to understand what the Hindi language. Actually, we have to study Hindi language. This is our national language, but they may have some students who may not familiar with this language, Hindi. So that's why I am uploading or I am taking the classes in English. And in my state, I am taking classes both by mixing English and as well as the regional language of my city or my state. Okay, so if I made any mistakes, apologizing you, I will correct as soon as I mean when I get or when I notice that mistake, I will correct it properly. Or if you notice some any other mistake other than on which I couldn't get, or they may have some mistake that that didn't get my attention, so you have to put it in that comment box. Okay, so then risk of material misstatement, information availability. Suppose auditor has obtained Xerox copy, original documents. In that case, there is nothing. The risk of material misstatement will be very low, or there's a chance of getting more reliable and relevant information because he is getting original document and as well as Xerox copy, etc. But there may also have some situations where the auditor may get only Xerox copies. He may not be in a situations to obtain the original document. In that case, he have to obtain what? He have to obtain more sufficient, appropriate, relevant, reliable audit evidence. He have to apply more audit procedure. Okay, then materiality, on material items or on material transactions or material facts, he have to apply more audit procedure. If it is less material, less audit procedure is required, less audit procedure is required. Otherwise, if it is more material item, he have to apply more audit procedure so as to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So now we just discuss the factors that is to be considered by an auditor and by applying professional judgment and determining whether the information that has been obtained to the auditor is sufficient and appropriate, relevant and reliable. Relevant. What is the meaning of relevance? Actually there is nothing, or this is not that much of a complicated term. No need of such a explanation, but I will explain it. In a restaurant, I went to a restaurant and I have ordered for what? Idli. Okay, but idli, I have ordered for idli, but they give me what? Roti. So I applied my procedure or my tongue for getting idli, but I get what? Roti. So this is the auditor. He is applying some audit procedure. He is getting this information that is not material to that situation, or that is not relevant to that situation. Actually, he was applying these audit procedures to obtain what? This information, but he didn't obtain this Q information, he obtained T information. It means that it is not relevant. So relevance means obtaining the information for which we applied the audit procedure. Okay, so in while auditor applying this audit procedure, he have to obtain the information for which he has applied the audit procedure. So relevance means getting what we want. Okay, then reliability. Information have to be reliable. If auditor have to arrive at a conclusion, and if auditor have to express an opinion on the basis of that conclusion which is to be correct, because we are issuing the report to the users of the financial statement. If we provided any wrong information, that may unfairly affect that user. So we have to provide what? A correct opinion or correct conclusion through that report. So if the auditor is not getting reliable information which is stating that users may affected because of the auditor's opinion, so it is the responsibility of the auditor to obtain what? Reliable information. How can auditor determine, or how can an auditor ensure reliability while collecting the audit evidence? He is the auditor. He directly obtained information from the organization. In that case, the reliability will be very high. If he is getting that information through X, it may not be that much of correct. So the first area or first situation, he is getting information directly. Auditor obtained information directly, or not through any indirect means. Okay, then he is the auditor. He want to obtain information about this entity. He is the debtor. Or they have some independent outside source. Independent outside source, he is that source. He is getting the information about that entity from these independent sources. So the reliability will be very high. Independent source. He obtained the information about the entity. Then third case. Same auditor. He have to obtain the information about this entity. The control system of the entity. Suppose this is ABC entity. The internal control system or the control system that is operating efficiently and effectively. ABC have a strong internal control system which is operating efficiently and effectively without any risk of material misstatement, or there is not exist any risk of material misstatement in the internal control system of that organization, or the control environment is very strong. So the auditor is getting information from this environment or this control system. So the reliability will be very high. So internal control system strong or strict. Okay. Then auditor. He is not getting that much of information, so he trying to obtain information from the documents. He approached the client and asked what? Documents, some more documents. This is the client. Two situations. He has provided the copy of information, that is a Xerox copy, or he has provided the original documents. Which will be more reliable? Original document. So information obtained from the original document. Okay. Then documentary evidence. If we have obtained documentary evidence. So we know that to determine whether the obtained information or obtained evidence is sufficient, appropriate, relevant and reliable. This is the auditor have to determine the same, and auditor have to apply the professional judgment. For determining the sufficiency and appropriateness, auditor can use his previous experience and what? Risk of material misstatement, materiality, information obtained, then result of the work, etc. Then so as to obtain whether the obtained information is reliable or not, auditor can assume or auditor can determine if he obtained an information from an organization where the internal control system is operating efficiently and effectively, then the information will be which has already obtained from that organization will be what? Reliable. Or from an independent outside person, then it will be reliable. If you obtain that information from the original document, reliable. Through documents, reliable. Then what? Auditor has directly obtained that information. So these are the situations or these are the cases where auditor can assume that the information that has been obtained to the auditor is what? Reliable. So now we discuss meaning of audit evidence. Factors that is to be considered to determine are reliability. How can auditor determine the reliability? Auditors also have to apply compliance procedures and substantive procedures. What is mean by this compliance procedures and substantive procedures? In IPCC, when we listen or hear the compliance procedure, we will remember what? ICE. It means internal control system. An organization should have an internal control system so as to detect, prevent, correct risk of material misstatement. So this is an organization. This organization is not having such an internal control system to prevent, detect, correct what? Risk of material misstatement. Okay. So compliance procedure is mainly for the purpose of determining whether an entity is having an internal control system to prevent, detect, correct the risk of material misstatement. Or the second case, this is another organization having an internal control system to prevent, detect, correct the misstatement. But risk of material misstatement. But the same internal control system is nothing doing with respect of the same. It means that a jewelry which is having what? A security. Security means a human resource. Okay, a security. For what? to protect that jewelry from any robbery. Even though that jewelry is having security, robbery happened. It means that security is not functioning properly. So this organization is having what internal control system but not functioning properly. That is not preventing, detecting, correcting the risk of material misstatement. So compliance procedure is for, why this compliance procedure? To obtain a reasonable assurance on the internal control system. It means that to determine whether the internal control system of the organization is functioning efficiently and effectively, operating efficiently and effectively. To understand that, we have to apply compliance procedure. Substantive procedure. Why this substantive procedure? The organization must have what? An accounting system that is providing information to the auditor. With that information, auditor is arriving at a conclusion and thereafter expressing his opinion. So auditor have to determine, substantive procedure is mainly for the purpose of determining completeness, accuracy, validity of the information produced by the accounting system. Whether it is producing the correct information, complete information, accurate information, valid information. So auditor have to determine this same. So substantive procedure means to determine completeness, accuracy, validity of the information which has been produced by the accounting system. Compliance procedure to determine whether the internal control system operating efficiently and effectively. Substantive procedure so as to determine the information produced by the accounting system or information or completeness, accuracy, validity of the information produced by the accounting system. Okay. So now we have to move towards what? Different methods to collect audit evidence. So these are the different methods to collect audit evidence. CA-ROI. C means external confirmation. SA 505. We will discuss it later. Now only understand this is a method to collect audit evidence. Okay. I will explain you when SA 505 comes. Okay. A means analytical procedure. SA 520 deals with the analytical procedure. Recalculation. Reperformance. Observation. Sorry. Inspection. Inquiry. External confirmation. Suppose if auditor have any doubt with respect of what? Total liability with respect of purchase of any material from the suppliers. They can send a letter to the supplier so as to confirm whether the books of accounts is providing the correct information or not. In external confirmation, they have positive confirmation request and negative confirmation request. We will study it later. Okay. So external confirmation, such a confirmation which has been obtained from a independent outside party. Okay. It may not be independent or may not be. That is, auditor is collecting information from the outside party. It can be either debtor, creditor, bank. Okay. With respect of loan, they can collect these or they can obtain external confirmation from what? Banks, financial institution. With respect of any purchase of material from the supplier. They have any doubt with respect of the total debt, bad debt, etc. They can obtain confirmation from the debtors. Okay. Then analytical procedure, SA 520, we will study it also later. Analytical procedure means analysis of the financial information by analyzing what? The non-financial information. Example, trend analysis, ratio analysis, etc. Okay, we will study it later. Now don't worry about this SA 520. When we study SA 520, I will also indicate what SA 500. Then recalculation. What is mean by recalculation? Why recalculation is performed? So as to ensure what? Mathematical accuracy. So recalculation means this is mainly for the purpose of ensuring the arithmetical accuracy. Whether the records providing a data or whether arithmetical accuracy is in the record that has been provided by the entity. So the auditor may require to perform what? Recalculation. That is, he is again performing the calculation already performed by the entity. Okay, so nothing that much of serious. He is recalculating so as to ensure the mathematical or arithmetical accuracy. Okay, reperformance. What is mean by reperformance? Suppose organization has provided an output, but auditor's judgment is providing that no, if he apply the procedure in this way, this will give more output than he provided in this record. So auditor is again performing the procedure which has been already performed by the entity so as to determine whether the output is given by the entity is correct or not. So reperforming the procedures already performed by the entity. Then observation. Observation means witnessing a process or procedure, or looking out a process or procedure. Auditor may observe what? A process or procedure which has been performed by the entity so as to determine whether they are performing it in a right way, correct way, truly, etc. Example, auditor is witnessing inventory counting procedure which has been performed by the entity. Or auditor is observing or witnessing what? Control procedure that is implementing in that organization. So the main issue is that this will be limited only at the time when it is making the performance. Okay, so observing or witnessing what? A procedure that is being performed by the entity. Example, stock inventory counting which has been performing by the entity. Then inspection. Inspection means examining the records which has been maintained by the entity, accounting records and as well as other records. Then inquiry. Inquiry can be made with the management, TCWG, that is those charged with the governance, employees, outside entity that we already provide that external confirmation. So this is mainly for the purpose of determining whether the result is matching with this question answer process. It means they are asking some question and the concerned person may give their representation. So they can determine whether there exists any inconsistency between the already obtained information. This is an additional audit procedure which has been performed by the auditor to obtain information with respect of the accounting policy, accounting procedures, and determining what are the assumptions used by the entity, what are the data which has been obtained by the entity, whether it has been processed correctly, what are the risks which has been identified by the entity, whether they respond appropriately to that risk. So with this inquiry they can get this much of information. So these are the different methods that can be used by the auditor to collect the audit evidence. CA, ROI, that is external confirmation, analytical procedure, recalculation, reperformance, observation, inspection and inquiry. I hope you will be cleared with this. Then few people asking me a doubt that can auditor use management experts work? Management expert work. We know that auditor, who is this management expert? This is an entity appointing a person to help them or to handle some specialized work. He can be either internal auditor or an in-house legal counsel or some advisors, etc. So can auditor use the work which has been provided by the management expert or which has been generated by the management expert? Is it reliable or is it provide reliable and relevant information to the auditor? So this is the point that we are going to discuss now. So auditor may or may not use the work of a management expert subject to some conditions. Auditor have to determine the competence of management expert, whether he is have the competence to perform that kind of work, whether he is having the experience or skill, professional skill to handle the same. So then he is following the professional standards, assumptions made by the management expert. Then data used by the management experts, whether he is complying with the legal regulatory matters, whether he is capable to do the work. Objectivity of the management expert. Objectivity means whether he is making any compromise with the profession or the work that is to be done by him because of any conflict, bias or interest with the concerned parties, etc. Then whether integrity. Actually an expert who may be appointed by the management may not have that much of integrity with them, but auditor may determine whether they are performing their work or their task straightfully or through honesty, etc. Then capable, work performed by them, whether they are performing the work in which they have expertized skill, in which they have enough knowledge, in which they have their skill. Then appropriateness. Auditor have to determine whether the work that has been performed by the management expert or whether the information which has been provided by the management expert is appropriate to us, or whether he is provided or he has done the work appropriately. Appropriateness of the work have to be considered. Then so these are the factors that is to be considered by an auditor while using the work of a management expert. Competence have to be considered, whether he have the competence, experience, skill to perform the same. Professional standard, whether he is following the professional standard. What are the assumptions made by the management expert? What are the data which has been used? Source of that data, whether it is internal or external, whether such data has been obtained to the management expert from the reliable sources. Then whether he is complying with the law and regulation, whether he is capable to handle that work, whether the management expert have maintaining the principle of objectivity. Work performed, which are the work which has been performed by the management expert, whether he is having experience or skill with respect of that work, appropriateness of the work. So these are the factors that is to be considered by an auditor while using the work of management expert. So here we discuss with respect of audit evidence. Audit evidence means the information that is to be used by an auditor to arrive at a conclusion on which the opinion is based. The audit evidence have to be SAR, sufficient, appropriate, relevant and reliable. Auditor may use the professional judgment so as to determine the quality and quantity of the audit evidence, that is the work performed by the auditor, previous experience and the result that has been obtained through the audit procedures, risk of material misstatement, information obtained, materiality. Then what? Reliability. Reliable means if the auditor have obtained the information from the original documents or through which has been obtained directly by the auditor through from an organization where the internal control system operating efficiently and effectively, whether if it has been obtained through original documents or through documentary form, then we can say that the information or the audit evidence is reliable. Then different methods that we discussed: CA, ROI, external confirmation, analytical procedure, recalculation, reperformance, then observations, inspection and inquiry. These are the various methods. Then we studied or discussed with respect to compliance and as well as compliance procedures and substantive procedures. So this is what essay 500. Easy essay. You should study properly. Okay. All the best, dears. Enjoy the studies. Achieve your aims. All the best.